Meeting of the Hazlet Board of Education in order. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. I'd like to begin with correspondence and comments from the public. Mr. Secretary, any correspondence?
I have no correspondence to report, Mr. President.
Any comments from the public? All right, seeing none. Let's begin with a special welcome to our new student representative, Lauren Ezzo. Lauren, welcome. We're glad to have you here and glad to hear your report.
Thank you. Okay. At Wilkshire, they held a very successful open house on Tuesday, September 1st. Many Hazlet families attended to meet the teachers and familiarize themselves with the school. The first week of school was a good one. Teachers and students acclimated themselves to the New Year's school routine. Over the summer, Mrs. Jenkins and her group of volunteers finished planting flowers and sprucing up the courtyard to make it more of a learning center for students. At Murphy, students had a wonderful start to school. Many families came to their open house as well. Students will have fall pictures taken this week. Also, teachers are doing special lessons on September 17th for Constitution Day. At Ralia, this first week, the students have been busy learning and reviewing classroom and school routines. The open house was well attended prior to school starting. We are excited to welcome 20 new students to the building. Classroom teachers are scheduling curriculum nights for parents during the month of September. And they would also like to send a big thank you to the Ralia Courtyard Committee for the many plants and flowers planted this summer and the beautiful tiles. At the middle school, they enjoyed a smooth opening to the 2010-2009 school year. They had a successful 6th grade open house on September 1st, and they're looking forward to meeting the 7th and 8th grade parents tomorrow, Tuesday, September 15th, from 6:30 to 8. At the high school, 3 HHS seniors are National Merit semifinalists. They are Megan Gifford, Brendan Martin, and Emily Bird. Yay! Cody Little, another HHS senior, is also a National Achievement finalist. Homecoming is October 9th and 10th. Pep Assembly begins at 2 p.m. Parade begins at 5:30 p.m. The game is at 7 p.m. against Charlotte. And the homecoming dance is on October 10th from 8:30 to 11 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well done.
Nice job.
All right, we will move along to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Fowler. We are recommending that the board approve the proclamation commemorating the 222nd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America. Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States, designating September 17th through the 23rd as the Constitution Week. And we'd like to salute Virginia White, former Meridian Township clerk, for encouraging this action. Virginia's been a very big advocate for it. And then the Foundation of Hazlet Schools will host their second road rally. It's a fundraiser on September the 26th. The event starts at 5:30 p.m. in the parking lot of the Hazlet Middle School. Registration forms are available on Hazlet's website. And then the staff resignation of Brittany Tile. Brittany is a former music teacher with us, and she was reduced in her schedule, and she will be taking a full-time job in Novi. So best wishes to Brittany. And then I have one other thing that I would like to say to the community this evening. On Tuesday, September 1st, 2009, at our opening day for staff, an insensitive audio, visual slide presentation was shown to the employees of Hazlet Public Schools. The presentation was not the viewpoint of myself, the Board of Education, or our staff. I take responsibility for it, and I'd like to apologize to the community and the schools of Hazlet. It was a poor reflection on our district. It is my intention to use this as a learning experience for myself and others as we move forward. Again, my apologies to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duda. Let me just say, obviously there's been a little buzz in the community over the past week, and I appreciate you taking it head on. I want to acknowledge a letter I received from John Roy Castillo from the Cristo Rey Community Center, who expressed his concern about the presentation. I just think on behalf of the board, I appreciate you taking it head on, apologizing. No excuses, no deferrals, just taking it head on, and thank you for your apology. With that, we're going to move on to discussion items. We will first take up discussion number 1, which is the 2009 bond refunding sale. Steve, are you going to do the introduction here, or are you?
We just have Chris Amarino from Troon Law Firm.
Chris Amarino from Troon is going to make this presentation. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. In front of you each have a black binder or black folder that identifies and contains several documents that I'm going to touch on here, basically to explain what it is that we're doing tonight and where we stand so far. As you may be aware, at the end of August, a proposal was offered to the school district by the district's underwriter, Steve Nicholas, to refund a certain prior bond issue of the district, the 1999 bonds. And the purpose of that is to reduce the interest costs that the district is paying to retire those old bonds with a new set of bonds that is issued at a lower rate. The proposal was offered pursuant to an earlier resolution of the Board of Education that had delegated the authority to the superintendent to accept a proposal if it fell within certain parameters recommended by the financial consultant, Studd Barch. The proposal that was presented was within those parameters, and the superintendent did sign the bond purchase agreement at that time to formalize the deal. However, we are bringing to you what's called a ratifying resolution, allowing the Board of Education basically to put its seal of approval on the process, and also to address a minor change in the structure. This was originally authorized back in 2008, and there's been a tax change with the ARRA Act, the federal act that implemented the stimulus package, that also requires a minor adjustment. So if I could have you open those packets, on the left-hand side you're going to find the resolution relative to this issue. And then on the right-hand side you'll find two documents. One is called the bond purchase agreement, one is the escrow agreement. And what I'd like to do is basically walk the board through the resolution with reference to those other documents so you have a full understanding of what we're asking you to consider this evening. You'll see a set of 4 whereas statements on the very first page, and that basically describes how we got to where we are today, identifying that earlier resolution, identifying Stiefel Nicholas as your underwriter, and identifying that an offer to purchase the bonds was presented to the superintendent, which was accepted back in August. Then the operative paragraphs begin at the bottom of page 1, in paragraph 1, and it identifies the dollar values of the transaction, that the new bonds will be issued in the principal amount of $7,535,000 and the various structures that go along with that. In paragraph 2, it identifies the structure of the bonds themselves. These will be dated September 29, which is the date of closing. And on that date, funds will be received and deposited into an escrow account. The bonds will run from 2011 through 2026 and be payable with interest beginning May 1, 2010. It does reference a schedule that is attached as Exhibit A, and that is the debt schedule for these bonds. If you will turn the page to paragraph 3, it describes that the bonds may be payable prior to maturity beginning in 2019 for the 2020 bond maturity. In paragraph 4, it identifies how early redemption will occur and what the structures are for that. Paragraph 5 identifies how blank bonds will be executed and provides for the replacement of bonds if the original bonds are ever mutilated, destroyed, or lost. Turning to page 3, paragraph 6, it identifies that the Bank of New York Mellon Trust Company is going to be the district's escrow agent. On the day of close, what happens is the money is received and it's deposited into an escrow fund, and then those old bonds, the 1999 bonds, will be paid off as of November 1, 2009. So that money is held in escrow for that period of time earns a very modest amount of interest, and the proceeds of that pay off those old bonds. Paragraph 7 identifies how the dollars are going to be used from this bond issue. Subparagraph A identifies the sum that will be used to pay costs of issuance. Paragraph B identifies the funding of that escrow account, including the proceeds of this bond issue, as well as monies that you have in hand for that 1999 issue that have not been used yet. And then the final use is a purchase of municipal bond insurance to increase the sale of marketability of these bonds. Paragraph 8 identifies that the President and the Secretary will be signing the bonds, and we have the documents here this evening for signing, provided the Board moves favorably here. Paragraph 9 identifies the preliminary official statement, which was a marketing prospectus or a bulletin that was circulated to market these bonds. Paragraph 10 authorizes the superintendent to issue a final version of that same marketing prospectus, which has already been produced and is available. Paragraph 11 identifies the various officers that may execute certain documents relative to the transaction. Paragraph 12 states that any officers or agents of the district may undertake any necessary actions to fulfill this bond deal. Paragraph 13 identifies the Bank of New York, who is your escrow agent, also to serve as your paying agent. Paragraph 14 deals with that change in tax law, deals with the qualified tax-exempt status of these bonds. Originally, it used to be a threshold of $10 million. It's now a threshold of $30 million with the passage of the AARA. Paragraph 15 identifies a simple covenant that the district is going to do all things necessary to maintain the tax-exempt status of these bonds. And paragraph 16 identifies the reallocation of the tax levy necessary to provide for these new bonds and to retire the old bonds. That's the resolution that we present this evening. The corresponding documents, the bond purchase agreement that we referenced and the escrow agreement are there to the extent that you have questions, you would like to review them. We do ask that when the board considers the resolution this evening, that it take a roll call vote so that we can be assured that we have a full majority so that there's no question for the record. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them now or at any time during the deliberation.
Any questions?
I have a couple.
Yes, sir.
Am I right in understanding that with the exception of the tax change referencing 30 million instead of the 10 million, that this is within the parameters of the resolution that we approved back in November?
It exactly is, yes.
Okay. And the Bank of New York Mellon Trust Company, which I don't have any reason to believe they're any riskier or better than any other bank. I assume that that somebody's done due diligence on that.
Your financial consultant took competitive bids to identify paying agent services for this deal. The Bank of New York does a majority of the paying agent services for school district bond issues throughout the state of Michigan. They're not the only player, but they're probably the most significant player.
Okay, so we're in essence just ratifying what we already approved last November.
Yes, sir. Precisely.
Any other questions? Christopher, thank you. We will take this issue up with our action item at the end, and we'll pull it for a roll call vote.
Very good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. The second discussion item this evening is the 2009-2010 administrative goals. This is we had a chance to look at these 2 weeks ago, and I've asked Superintendent Duda if he would walk us through the goals. And I see a number of administrators here this evening. If you have questions, you might be able to.
Timing's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. We have all the administrators here, and they're all very familiar with the goals that have been developed starting last June. So I thought what we would do is begin by, there are 5 different goals this year. Number 1 was to provide a learning environment that promotes excellence for all students, and then we can talk a little bit about the subgroups below. Number 2 was to enhance the learning experience through relevant, interactive technology. Number 3, be a fiscally responsible district. Number 4, implement an effective communication strategy. And number 5, provide a safe, healthy, and disciplined environment for all. So those are the 5 goals, and then you have, let's just go back down to number 1, provide a learning environment that promotes excellence for all students. We have continued to study and implementation of the K-12 reform, and you have a number of areas that we are concentrating on right now. I guess what I would do is open it up for board discussion if anybody has any questions about that particular goal.
I don't actually have a question, but I think just for the interest of the community that is listening, Mike, I know there is a great deal of work that goes into putting together these A-plus, the goals for the administrators. If you could just briefly give a synopsis of what has gone into this.
Well, frankly, what we do every year is, at the end of the year, we review the previous school year. And it's an opportunity for us to reflect on what went well for us, as well as what types of things we need to look forward to for the future. So in June, we spent about 3 days at our retreat. Although those days this year, or those particular days this year, we concentrated on budget issues. We came back from retreat and spent at least a day and a half working on these particular goals. And I will tell you that as you look through these goals here, and we've given you a cheat sheet as to what these are all about, these are some things that we have taken up at least a year ago and continue to work on.
So let me ask the question about, there is a reference to using stimulus dollars, in particular for at-risk students and development interventions relative to failure is not an option. I'm not sure. Are those targeted dollars?
Are they targeted dollars toward different programs? I would tell you yes. Right now, we've had an opportunity to use some of those stimulus dollars to hire people as trainers. And I'll let Sharon talk a little bit about the trainers themselves. But that's what those dollars have to be designated for. Those specific dollars that are coming from the government right now cannot be used to insert a teacher into the classroom working in front of kids. It's primarily to be teachers of or trainers of teachers. So, Sharon?
Well, we are really pushing forth the response to intervention program for at-risk students in middle school with these dollars, and so most of them are dedicated to a couple of our employees who are going to be providing professional development in that area. You all know that we've been involved with Failures Not an Option for a couple of years. This would be year 3, and so really this is an extension of that initiative. And we feel very blessed that we can use these dollars to really focus on the at-risk student at the middle school. So it gives us an opportunity really to go in for 2 years, because this money's only available for 2 years. Go in for 2 years and try to ground a program there for at-risk students. And actually, Diane Newman, who was a former special education teacher, will be working full-time in this program this year, and Dory Lako will be working a small bit of her schedule assisting her.
Go ahead.
Other questions?
Well, I'd like to make a comment more than a question. I appreciate the work that's gone into this, and I think you've done an excellent job, all the administrators have with this. The only comment that I'd care to make is I recognize that we have, to say the least, difficult financial times. And as bad as they are now, they're looking worse in the future. So I recognize their limitations. At the same time, I feel I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to keep some focus on high-achieving students and things that can be done for the high-achieving students. I note that we do have ensured achievement for all students, and I assume all students means all students. By the same token, when I look through the subsets of that, there is no mention that I have seen for the high achieving students. And I'm not asking or suggesting at this point that something be added in here for that, but I just want to bring it up so that as we go forward, we don't lose sight of that the high achieving students are part of all students, and they can't just be pushed aside while we focus on the laudable job of making sure that everybody meets the minimum standards. But if we're going to provide an education for everyone, we have to keep them in mind as well. So I just wanted to make sure and take this opportunity to keep that in front of the board.
Thanks, Don.
Rob?
Yes.
I just want to kind of highlight the be a fiscally responsible A+ district. I think all of these objectives are extremely important, but I would like to recognize our administrators and the entire team on the great job that they're doing. I mean, we really have positioned ourselves for what we're up against in terms of the state budget and the outlook for 2010, 2011. I just think that we have done an excellent job. Steve Cook, big pat on the back to you, in terms of really looking forward and figuring out what we're going to do. And when we have dollars that we have no confirmation on what those are going to look like, we really have tried to do the right thing in terms of being prepared. And so that particular piece right there, I want to commend our folks for really trying to look long-term in terms of what this district's going to look like. And I see what other school districts are doing, and sometimes dipping into fund balance and that type of thing. And I think that our community should be very grateful that we have people who do such a fine job at keeping our fiscal house in order. So I just wanted to add that while we were talking about these particular points. And I appreciate the communication too in terms of being out there on the website and the superintendent continuing to communicate with the community on these particular items too.
It sounds like we're open to all 5 goals.
At the same jump around,
I don't know if we're
Sorry.
on the first one at first, but
A la carte.
it's a open discussion on goals. So, let's try to take them one at a time. We've talked about the learning community promotes excellence for all students, done rightly and consistently raised the issue about high achieving students. Any other concerns on that area before we move on? Laura?
I did have one. I don't know if I really want to classify it as a concern more than an awareness that I hope we continue to be working towards with these high school graduation requirements, meeting the needs of well-rounded students in the fact that we are making opportunities available for all of our students who wish to participate in your music programs, in your arts programs, in your TV media programs, and the challenge that we face with that. But that is an ongoing work in progress on how we can better continue to provide all services to our kids.
I guess kind of along those lines, my thought was when I read about continuing to study and implementing K-12 reform, I thought this understated everything that was going on. It seems to me that everyone is always looking at this, and it's part of every decision that gets made and is looked at with every student, and we could probably go on for 20 pages about everything that each building's doing about this. I see a lot going on.
Actually, I want to pick up on that point, and I think what I'm struck by with this first set of goals is, and particularly to the administrators who are here this evening, it would be easy enough now to just hunker down because of budget and feel sorry for ourselves and just try to maintain. What these goals are about is still improving education, and I think that is to be commended. This is still trying to raise the bar. It's not sitting still. And again, it would be easy enough, maybe even understandable, to sit still, but that's not what this is about. And I appreciate that very much, that these are goals set high. Second point is learning experience through relevant interactive technology. Any questions on this one or discussion? I'm actually struck a little bit by the exploration of virtual field trips. That is, to some degree, an understanding that things may be different in terms of budget and other things, and we might be able to achieve the same kind of experience virtually that might have cost us time and money to get students someplace in the past. So I'm kind of encouraged by that and think it's something we'll want to hear more about. Other questions?
I just wanted to commend us for using the technology to bring the kids up to the skills recovery at the high school, because, you know, we knew this was going to be a problem when the academic rigors were passed. And, you know, I think technology probably is going to be a big part of that, and I'm glad to see that that's part of, I knew it was part of what we were doing, but I'm glad to see that it's important enough to be in their goals.
You know, I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No, Andrew's fine.
I was just going to comment. You know, when I was the high school principal, and it's been nearly 6 years ago, I think one of the negative comments that I would receive from graduating high school seniors was, at that time, when they would get to college, that they didn't compete with the technology with the other students that were coming out of other high schools. And I would tell you now that that has changed. I think a lot of it has to do with the ability for students to have their own PCs now at home, and so on and so forth. But I do think it's a tribute to the technology program and the resources that the Board of Education has put into this over the last 5 years, because I don't believe that is as big a concern for our students as it was half a dozen years ago. So.
I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about this rapid notification calling system. I was curious about what that was.
Well, Jeff Casson is with us this evening, so Chris, I will tell you that this is something that I've been interested in for some time, simply because of the snow day issues. If we have an emergency in the district, it's the ability to, I'm going to have Jeff talk about it. He's the expert.
I'm going to play the lottery tonight, actually. You can call out the crowd. Yes, we're looking at the rapid notification system works with our student information system, where we have all of the students' information, their telephone numbers for their parents and guardians, and also email addresses. And so when there is an emergency school closing, whether it be weather-related or something else comes along the line, during the day, if we have to have an emergency school closing, we can put this system into place, into action, and it will automatically dial several phone numbers for each student. So it could be their parent or guardian at home, their work telephone number, their cell phone number, and it will make thousands of telephone calls in just a few minutes. So potentially within 10, 15, 20 minutes, we can notify parents and guardians of all of our students that there has been a school closing. We can do this district-wide or any given building in the district. We also have the ability to use that for staff as well. So once the system is in place, we can do away with the phone tree, where one staff member calls several and so on. So it's a program that we're working on implementing right now, and we hope to have in place before the inclement weather season approaches.
Or the snow flies next month.
Don't say that.
It's Michigan.
That sounds great.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, should we move along to be a fiscally responsible district?
Already covered that one, sorry.
Although I do, thank you, Kristen, for getting us there early, but.
Time is money.
I agree. We're being fiscal up here.
There is a reference in here that I think will be of interest to the community in particular, and that's to develop a plan for the future uses of Meridian High School and other school facilities and grounds. Could you just speak to that for a second?
Yes. Right now, we are exploring different possibilities with interested parties. I know that and I can share this with the community, that there is interest on the part of the Hazlitt Library in relocating their facility. They are presently exploring the Meridian High School as a possibility. They're working with the township very closely. Jerry Richards is spearheading some of this as well. So the other possibility for the future is a partnership with LCC. And we've had LCC in on 3 occasions, Lansing Community College, to explore the idea of providing postgraduate kinds of opportunities for our students here in Hazlitt Public Schools, but also for the surrounding Mid-Michigan area. They do have satellite programs set up right now throughout the area in the East Lansing area, but we're working on that with the wide area network that we're in a consortium with the ISD and the rest of the schools in the Ingham County. It's our hope at some point to provide some kind of service out to those other districts. And we do have the capability, as I understand it, and Jeff probably is a better person to speak about this, but we do have the capability to get wired and provide that to other area districts at some point. So,
Well, the building continues to be an asset that we own, and
yes.
it's good to be thinking long-term for it.
Mm-hmm.
Move along to communication strategy. We talked about this a little bit. Any other comments? And the final one is provide a safe, healthy, and disciplined environment for all.
Mr. President, and I add a slow comment on the immediate prior one.
Yes. I was reading signals, I didn't see it.
It's okay, I was a little slow with that.
Don't go to an auction.
All right, well, the communicating with all stakeholders kind of tied back to me to a couple of these other things that of budget meetings and keeping the public informed. I'm wondering what the end technology, and I guess I'm wondering what the prospects are, or if it's feasible or something we should be looking at to do any kind of a live stream of meetings. If we have budget meetings where we're trying to inform parents, or these communications with stakeholders, is I'm sure we've all had the experience of going to these budget meetings. I really applaud the administration for doing those. And sometimes I've gone and you'll have the administrators and 3 board members there, and they'll outnumber the public about 2 to 1. I'm just thinking maybe if it had some streaming capability, maybe nobody would watch it, or maybe they would. And if it were essentially low cost and no cost thing for us, if that's a viable way to reach out more to the community. And I just throw that out. I'm sure our techno-whiz in the back's probably right on top of that. I couldn't help but have that thought as we're going through here as a possible way to expand our outreach to the community. I don't know where that's going, but...
They were trying to figure out who the techno was in the back was.
Yeah, I think I saw Jeff sliding under the table. I'm not asking you to address that right now unless you want to, but it is something that, that it seems to me that we should be keeping in mind as part of our goals for the future. Thank you.
Moving along, unless anybody else has any communication. Okay, safe, healthy, and disciplined environment for all. Any questions or comments? To some degree, this one goes without saying, but it's good that we continue to have it as a goal statement, and some of the things that are there are very appropriate to that.
Rob?
Yep.
The question I have is, do we have some fall building level crisis training set up, or, because we have that in here that there's going to be some district-wide training in the fall for building level crisis committees? Do we have something set up, or are we in the process
We're
of
in the
setting that
process
up
of
now?
planning that.
Okay. Yeah, because that's the kind of thing where we have to do that regularly, because in the hopefully unlikely event of a crisis, it needs to be really to our forefront, rather than something that we did 2 or 3 years ago, but we don't remember what we're supposed to do, so.
And I agree, you hope you never have to use it, but
Right, but
in
we
fact,
wanna make sure.
last week, we did get our crisis team together and talked a little bit about
Good.
looking at an issue that we dealt with last week, so.
As you may recall, we formalized these crisis teams again a year ago at the building level, and we are in the process of putting a district-wide training together.
Now, at one time, we did something in conjunction with the Meridian Township Police.
We did a tabletop exercise, we did,
Okay.
we did, and that was chemical spill tabletop exercise. That was very successful.
Now, is that, or do we do anything to interact with them again about what our crisis plans are and what they're expecting?
Well, we went through, and Bill can tell you this, that he worked closely with the Sheriff Department as well as the Meridian Township Police last, I think it was March or April, wasn't it? And we have a plan in place if there is a crisis in one of our buildings that allows, it's kind of a uniform procedure that most districts, I would say, in the mid-Michigan area are following now, so that there isn't discrepancies in how things are handled. Depending on what the issue is, I think there is a set pattern as to how they will deal with a problem. And so they do work with our building facilities folks. We've got all of our doors numbered now, and there's a number of procedures that they go through if you do have a crisis.
Good, good. I'd like to know that we're staying fresh on that.
All right, if there are no more questions, Mike, these become the goal, presuming we approve these this evening. These become really the goals, and thank you again for all the administrative team who worked so hard on them. But the goals for the 2009-10 as a public school district. Are they going to be available on the website?
Yes, we can put those up on the website tomorrow.
So available to the community if anybody's interested in the detail of these goals. They are on the action item agenda as we get to that. So I think if there are no other comments, we'll move along to board reports. Okay, let's begin with Finance and Facilities Committee.
Well, we met, as did the Policy and Personnel Committee, and I believe we had parallel agendas, and essentially parallel meetings. We had some, as a matter of fact, some cross-cultural events with Mr. Tim and Ms. Levy having to interchange committees, so we could make that work.
Gotta be well-rounded. Be on the same.
For good reason.
I think rather than really giving a report in any detail, the main thing was the proposed tentative agreement with the teachers. And I know everyone has gone through that in the various committees and has studied that, so I'm certainly not going to try to detail that in the committee report, but that was the main thing that we dealt with in the committee.
All right, Policy Personnel Committee also met.
That is correct, and we also went over the same agenda as the Finance and Facilities Committee and talked about the agreement as well. So that was our meeting.
And that is on the agenda this evening for approval.
That is correct.
Items from board members.
I do. The Ingham School Officers Association, that there's a representative from each school board that sits on that committee that meets at the ISD once a month, and we had our first meeting the other day. So we are back in the progress of finding ways to be supportive and offering some new ideas for the schools. What we talked about is what our meetings would focus on throughout this year, and it was decided that, every school system in this ISD has some different innovative programs that they're using. So each meeting this year, we are going to bring in a different school district within the ISD who will share with us particular programmings that they're doing. So that is what we're working on this year. Also, I would like to have everybody put on their calendars the Celebration of Education Dinner, which will be held again this year. It is November 18th at the Kellogg Center. And we're very privileged in this community to have Robert Stevenson, who is the student, or no, not the student, the teacher of the year. He's an Okemos Elementary School teacher, and he is going to be the featured speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Other items from the board? All right. Action items, we have 11 of them listed. They are approval of the minutes of the August 24th regular meeting and the closed session. Number 2 is approval of the minutes of the September 10th Policy and Personnel Committee. 3 is approval of the minutes of the September 11th Finance and Facilities Committee. 4 is tuition acceptance requests. 5 is tuition release requests. 6 is approval of the United States Proclamation that was aforementioned in the superintendent's report. Number 7 is the 2009 bond sale approval for refunding bonds, which we'll pull. That was part of the earlier presentation. 8 is approval of the HEA labor agreement. 9, winter tax certification. 10, approval of the 2009-10 administrative goals that we just discussed. And number 11, designation of board delegates for the MASB Fall Conference. Anybody like to have anything pulled?
I have a question, if we even need to pull this, because it's so minute. On the action item number 1, just a change that needs to be made on the minutes. I was present at the meeting, but I was also absent at the meeting. So do we need to pull that to have that changed?
I think so.
Do we?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think you just
Yeah.
asked
We,
that before.
we better pull it then.
So you were both?
I
Is
was
that what you're
both.
saying? Okay.
Yeah.
There it is, present and absent.
I'd like to pull number 8, Brad.
Number 8, okay.
And number 7 and 11.
We have to pull 11 too, yeah.
Okay. So we've pulled items 7, 8, I'm sorry, 1, 7, 8, and 11.
I move we approve the remaining action items.
Support.
Motion and approval to, motion and second to approve action items 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's take item 1. Lori, your motion is to correct the minutes.
Motion to correct the minutes. I was actually absent with notification. I know I was moving my son into college that day. So I was absent,
Okay.
but here in spirit, right, Tobias? Do we?
Motion to amend
I
the.
so move to amend the minutes with that correction.
Motion and support to correct the minutes of the August 26th regular board meeting.
24th.
24th.
Right, we're there.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, item 7.
Mr. President, before we go on to that, it's fine if that's the order you want to go, take it in, but I think we still have to do a motion
To
to
approve.
approve the minutes that we just amended.
Good point. Okay.
I so move to approve the minutes.
Motion and second to approve the minutes of the August 26th regular
amended
meeting.
Minute.
The amended.
As amended, yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Item 7.
Need a roll call.
This is really for the
Roll call.
purpose of taking roll call. Cheryl, you want to walk us through that?
Mr. Frank?
Yes, however,
Don't we have to make a
we
motion?
need a motion
Yeah.
first
I
to
move that we
to approve it.
approve the 2009 bond sale for refunding bonds.
Second.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome,
Robert's rule. Cheryl, roll call.
Mr. Frank?
Yes.
Mrs. Barbieri?
Yes.
Mrs. Levy? Yes. Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Mrs. Stelzer?
Yes.
Ms. Cody?
Yes.
Mr. Timmer?
Yes. Motion passes. Item number 8, is there a motion to approve the HEA labor agreement?
I pulled that, Rob, just because I just wanted to make a comment before we do the vote on it. And,
Well, Being the parliamentarian, then, why don't we get a motion to approve it first?
okay.
Then we'll have
discussion. Second. We have a motion and a second, now will be time for discussion.
Okay, now we're in discussion. I just wanted to make a comment that it is not because I don't value our Hazlet staff, but I will be voting against this contract. It's only the second time that I've ever voted against a contract in the district, and this is for the very same reason. I don't believe that we should have less days that teachers are in front of students. I understand why we're doing it this way, but to me, in this day and age, when we are asking so much more of kids than we ever had before, to have shorter school year makes no sense. And in the United States, we don't even go as many school days as the rest of the world, the industrialized world. And it's really frustrating to me that we have decided again to eliminate one more day. So now we're 2 days less than 180 days, which didn't seem like the right amount of days to begin with. So I just wanted to make that statement. Everybody knows how I feel about it, and then we can move on.
Other comments? Other discussion?
I would like to make a comment too. I guess I am going to vote for it, but it's going to be despite that. And I think we don't need to stimulate people taking pledges one way or the other as we go around the board, but I would like it to be known that Bev isn't the only one that has concerns about that. And certainly I'm voting for it, recognizing that's part of the outcome of the bargaining process, and you don't get to have everything the way you'd like to have it, and that is certainly one of the things that isn't the way I would like to have it.
I guess I'd like to say I agree with Don, and I feel the same way.
Well, if we're going to go around the table, I'll start on this side of the table, and I would say I'm in very much agreement with everything that Bev has said. I am voting for it also. However, I want to say to Bev that I very much appreciate you giving your comments on that, because they're very appropriate. So thank you.
Ditto on that, Beverly.
Yeah.
All right, you're the only one?
I'm ready to vote.
Okay. All in favor of the motion to approve the HEA labor agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
One, no.
Let the record show 1 nay. And finally, action item 11, designation of board delegates for the MASB Fall Conference. This is pulled because I think we need to be specific in a resolution of who that will be. I guess the question is, are there volunteers who's going to the MASB Fall Conference?
I know Lori's always done this. the last
Yes, I
few
know.
years,
That's
so I'm just waiting for her to say she's going to do it again this year.
You know, this is the meeting that's the Thursday evening preceding the opening of the conference, correct?
Yes.
I will not be able to attend the conference, I'll be out of town. However, I could and would volunteer to attend the Thursday evening meeting unless there's someone else on the board that is desirable to
Don't we still
To-
have
to do this.
pay for her to go to the conference? She's going to be a voting delegate, though?
That's a question we should answer, because you don't want to pay for me.
It's not both that spent 100 and whatever
Yeah.
it is to-
Right.
since-
Because I can't be there for the rest of the conference.
Is it necessary we do this tonight?
I don't think so.
We still have another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We'll find the answer to.
And the answer to that, and just table it till then.
Because I don't want to pay for somebody to go there just
Right.
to go.
Move that we table item 11. Support.
Motion and a second to table item 11. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Announcements. The only announcement that I have is that the next regular scheduled meeting is September 28th, 7 o'clock. Anything else for the good of the district? Seeing none, a motion to adjourn, please. Motion, second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
A few more things down, and then also making some changes that need to be made to comply with some legal changes. And that's being continued. We got pretty far. He's going to talk to, I think, Bob and Jean about a few more things that we didn't get through in that meeting that were a little bit more minor. And so far, we're pleased with the suggestions, but we have not yet seen a finished product. So it's a road that we're partway down.
Okay. Questions? Items? No.
Pamphlet form would be what we're looking for.
Any other items from the board? Anything else? Anybody got anything?
Nothing going on?
Nothing going on? Scott's playing
Very
great
quiet.
golf, so.
So are you.
Yeah, I had a good run too. Oh, well. Okay, action items. Oh boy, do we have a list. We have, besides what we had on our original agenda, we have some additions to the agenda tonight, to existing action items that you received on your table tonight, some additional personnel recommendations to add to number 17, and some additional contract approvals to add to number 20. Okay, there's some of these that we're gonna need to pull, because we have to appoint some folks as we go through this every year. So I'm gonna pull number 7, number 8, and I guess I'd like to pull
7.
number 17.
7 is the secretary.
Well, that's just, we just wanna make sure that
Oh, okay.
we put a name to it. Okay. 7, 8.
He's not here, so I
I
think
know,
we did.
yeah, we'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
7, 8, 7, 8,
I know
and
you did
17.
this time.
Are there any other items anybody would like to pull? Okay,
So
can I hear a
moved.
motion? Motion by Ron,
Support?
support by Scott. Okay, I guess let me read the items that
Reading
were.
by Charlie.
Let me read them. Approval of minutes, June 22nd, 1998. Scheduled meetings for 1998-99. The bank depository and bank signature resolutions. Appointment of our legal consuls. There's 2 of them there. Designation of official publications. Membership in the Michigan Association of School Boards. Being part of the Michigan Association of School Boards Legal Trust Fund. Michigan High School Athletic Association membership. State aid note resolution. Board resolution to authorize a preschool education for 4-year-old children. This affects 10 children, 4 years old.
That's basically a grant
I-
request.
Yeah. Resolution to hold a special election on September 14th, 1998 for the Headley override. Purchase of a school maintenance vehicle. Continue the contract with Bruce Bingham for our labor relations services. Establishing 1998-1999 tuition rates. Purchase of the district marquee message center. The purchase of the literature textbooks. And the final item is the personnel contract approvals. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, three items that I pulled. Number 7 is selection of the representative to the Michigan Association of School Boards. In the past, that's been our secretary. Our new secretary is not here, so I'll nominate Jeff Stoney.
I'll second that.
Okay, we'll put Jeff in there. Insert his name. Okay, the other item is our old selection of a representative to the Ingham County School Officers Association.
Well,
What?
Jeff do that, too.
that's Jeff. Jeff has been doing a fine job along that line.
What?
I'm sorry, went
Oh,
by
I-
pretty fast. Did we vote on?
We didn't vote on
number
7 yet.
Okay.
I guess
You're gonna do them all together?
we can do all three.
They're all gonna be Jeff, so.
What's number 18?
Kathy's not here too, so.
Okay, do we wanna, somebody wanna put Jeff's name in there?
I'll
Do that?
move that we.
Jeff's
we
done it in the
appoint Jeff.
past for it.
Yep, I move that we appoint Jeff.
Okay, and if Jeff has a problem, then I'll do it.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow, I'll really support that motion.
Yeah, right.
We'll let him know it.
Yeah, well, I'll let him know too.
Good.
Okay, and then the last one is the personnel recommendations, and I guess I just wanted to read the names and the positions of all the new folks that we're hiring to fill the vacancies that we've had within the district. And I'll just read the names, and you each have a little bio on each of them. But James McCaffrey, a high school, middle school band director. He comes from Sturgis. Susan McCaffrey, James's wife, is a high school media center specialist. Karen Sanders, a high school Spanish teacher. Cheryl Wisniewski, I believe it is, a Raleigh second grade teacher. Carol Mott, who will be the Meridian High School Career Preparation Advisor. Lindsay Folk, a middle school math science teacher. Trish Clark, a middle school math teacher. Gabe Catton, a middle school language arts teacher. And, let's see here, Margaret, I guess I'm not, Borelli is a 80% English teacher at the high school. And, let's see, there was one other, wasn't there?
English is a second language. That's it, it's new hires.
You're just doing the.
Oh, and that's it, okay. Okay, do I have a motion on these three?
So moved?
Support.
Moved and supported, for 7, 8, and 17. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So, that's 5-0, I guess we're at, 5-0. Okay, announcements. Our next board meeting will be Monday, August the 10th at 7 p.m.
Mr. Parker will be on his vacation? No, I'll be on business. Business in San Diego.
Okay, Phil will be out of town.
Before or after?
I would think after.
With a tour afterwards, okay, very good. Okay, no further business? Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved. Support.
Moved by Ron, supported by Scott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Apparently, they don't make those Burger King crowns as well as they did back in the old days. I didn't even see any jewels. We'd like to thank you all so much for being so flexible and helping make our holiday concert very successful despite the weather and what cost us to have to change the date. Thank you so much. Our final piece, Zolzine Shalom, features these group of young women: Danny Huffman, Jessica Coleman, Susan Hicks, Christy Burnt, Jamie Brook, and Suri Carrington. The opening passage, Yapapam, you will hear several times throughout the piece, and we would encourage you, as soon as you get used to it, the young ladies will invite you to sing it with us. Thank you again for a wonderful concert, and this is Zolzine Shalom.